Hey everybody, this is Brian here, and today we're going to be talking about music. We're going to be doing part two, which is the honorable mentions, but also number 10 on the top 10 list of the most recognizable voices in music, which was the last video I did. I got through number 9, which was Jim Morrison, and we're going to be talking about number 10 in just a moment, and also the people that I seriously considered, but they just missed out on the list. Anyways, yeah. Number 10 on here is going to be another example of those people who don't really have like the best voice, like from a pure technical standpoint. Like I can't hit like that 5 octave range like Mariah Carey in the 90s or something could, but still, I think that this guy deserves to be here. Number 10 is Neil Young. I think he's probably the best artist in human history of any type of art. He's been through an amazingly long career where he's gone all the way from Buffalo Springfield and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, all the way to making an album with Pearl Jam in the 90s. I mean, the guy is really he's been around and through all the different movements of music. He's played a rich variety of them too, considering his vocal abilities aren't the greatest in terms of range and in terms of sometimes he can be a little shrill at points. But anyways, I think his voice is hard to describe. It's always recognizable in the sense that he makes it work for the music perfectly. In some acoustic songs, he sings kind of quietly and almost ghostly. In other songs, he also kind of shows us why he's considered the forefather of modern hard rock and grunge. Uh, I also find his voice to be very unique in one sense, in that male singers don't often come into the folk or rock movements with high range, kind of nasally voices, unless they're in that like hard rock or punk rock kind of stuff. Um, he made his voice convey emotion really impressively. He really has excellent control over the tools he was given. He has an excellent control also of dynamics between high and low. Just look at a song like Don't Let It Bring You Down as an example of his mastery over his voice in terms of going from kind of a high range point to like when he's talking about it's only castles in the sand, during the chorus. Also, just a simple point. Have you ever mixed up one of Neil Young's songs I with someone else doing it? I really can't think of having confused like Old Man with Led Zeppelin or something. Um, anyways, yeah. So that's number 10 on the list. But there's also 5 people I wanted to give as honorable mentions on this list. Um, these are people, like I said, I seriously contemplated putting them on here, but they just missed out for one reason or another. And I just wanted to give a just brief summary of the thoughts I had on them and why I didn't put them on here. So let's get through that. Number 1 on here is going to be Joni Mitchell. I thought her voice was really, really unique, which is why I contemplated putting her on here. But I also thought that at points her voice was a little bit kind of brittle and glassy, almost like sugar glass, kind of. Like she like almost made me cringe. Like it was almost piercing, kind of at points to hear her voice. She has a great range to go lower when she wants to. But I think that the music from her prime, a lot of it, it's a little sharp for me. And so even though she is kind of recognizable, I found some of her music that's the most popular and famous stuff. I found a little bit to border on annoying, kind of. But that's just my personal opinion. So give me your own top 10 in the comments if you want to, if you think differently. Anyways, another sorry, what am I thinking here? Another person I thought of putting on here was Elvis Presley. But I thought that a lot of what he either got from Carl Perkins or it was done better by like Buddy Holly. I think that Elvis, and I'm not saying that you can't do a song cover because a lot of those people who he covered songs from, a lot of them were covers of the American, uh, like the standard American songbook, of things that like every artist covers practically. Um, anyways, so yeah, I'm not saying Elvis was like plagiarizing in any way, but I don't think that he was really an innovator, and I think that there's a lot of people just he's almost to his own detriment in how popular he was because his voice is kind of hard to recognize since there's so many other people who try to sound like him. So he's one of the five, and I really love Elvis. So don't think that him just missing out means I don't like him or that I don't think he's a good musician because he's one of the best singers ever. But still, I thought that there's other people who I could tell apart, from a lineup much easier of similar singers. I'm not asking you to put like Ronnie James Dio next to Joan Baez and say, see, she's not singing, Master of Puppets amazingly, like, no, no, I try to give fair comparisons here, but still, in that whole rockabilly age, I think that there was other singers that gave Elvis most of what he had, and others that kind of did it better. Um, Not to belittle him, because I love Elvis, like I said. Linda Ronstadt is going to be the next honorable mention. In in that I really don't think her voice is that recognizable because it's not that unique in the sense that there's a lot of kind of pop, soul, R&B kind of like genre of singers from the 70s. So I really don't think that she really broke down any barriers or added anything, or she didn't write her own music, which is okay. But um, still, I don't really find Linda Ronstadt to be someone who, though she had a great voice, was really that different from her contemporaries or the people who've come after her. Uh, Number four on this list is going to be way back, going like 1920s, early 30s, and this is another honorable mention because I find yodeling to be kind of annoying. But we're gonna give the spot to Jimmy Rogers. He's a yodeler who was one of recorded music's earliest contributors, frankly, and he really inspired a lot of country music that was to come later. He was a favorite in terms of the period of growing up. He was a favorite of people such as Ernest Tubb, Johnny Cash, and also I think wasn't he also I think Ernest Tubb, who was also one of the foundational people in country. He was also one of those people who tried yodeling earlier on, but it kind of wasted his vocal cords, so he had to go into sounding more typical country music sound. You know, I drank too much. My girlfriend left me. I hung myself in the closet. Anyways, it's just all that kind of depressing. You know. Anyways, but yeah, I think that if you just listen to as an example of his later influence, think of Led Zeppelin's live cover of that song. God damn it, what is that song that I'm trying to think of? T for Texas, T for Tennessee. Sorry. Anyways, yeah, you can see what he's added later on to music and how that kind of nasally everyman kind of voice. It really was the foundation for how a lot of country music um, it really is meant to have that sound like you could sing along with it, like it could be you recorded singing. Like a lot of those people aren't that talented of vocalists, but it's more like lyrically based, and it's more based on the feeling. Uh, Number five on here is Buddy Holly. I know I had a few people on here who had kind of short careers, like the Doors, for example, but I think Buddy Holly takes that to a little too far, and obviously that's not his fault because he died in an accident. But I still think the fact that his career was so short, it kind of makes it a little bit hard to put him on the list because I really just think he died too soon to be unrecognized, or sorry, completely uh, unique and unforgettable. So yeah, I think that's all of the honorable mentions. Thank you for watching part 1 and 2 of this video. I love you guys because you're you, and peace out.